Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help mental health professionals grow their dream practices and live a life they love. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building tips. We invite you to take advantage of our private practice paperwork and our signature marketing e-course. And we have a gift for you. This is the exact methodology we use to create our six-figure private pay practices and have helped many other therapists do the same. Go to privatepracticestartup.com and on the homepage, click the button to download a free copy of your dream private practice playbook. Now on to today's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of You've Got It, the Private Practice Startup Podcast. We hope you're having an awesome day today or whatever you're doing. I'm excited about today's guest. We were just talking before we hit record, oh my gosh, it's been 5 to 6 years since we have had this guest on. Children grow up, things happen, life continues to evolve. And when you're an entrepreneur, you just start to get involved in so many different things. So we're excited to reconnect with her. We're excited to talk a little bit more about where she's at. But most importantly, what really intrigued us is a story that she shared about her own journey in leadership and what she had to do differently. And Kate and I often talk about this, is that at every stage and level of business growth, there's a mindset shift. And sometimes we might flounder in it for a while, not knowing, and then either someone helps us see or we have an experience, and then it just gives us insight that we need to shift again. So we're really excited to talk to her today. So who is our guest? It's Maureen Werrbach from the Group Practice Exchange. So a little bit about Maureen. Maureen is a visionary entrepreneur in the mental health field. As the owner of Urban Wellness, a multi-location group practice in the Chicago area, she knows firsthand the focus healthcare providers put on making a positive impact in the world. She also knows that many healthcare professionals put business second to boots on the ground, helping in the community. And guess what? That's where she comes in. She shares her expertise in group practice leadership by coaching, educating, and training social service professionals in a variety of ways. She is the founder of the Group Practice Exchange, host of the Group Practice Exchange podcast, co-host of the Group Practice Owners Summit, and certified Fix This Next advisor. Maureen also continues to show up as a leader in the mental health field as a guest on podcasts, live events, and featured articles. Maureen's ultimate goal is to help group practice owners learn how to successfully start and scale their businesses so they can have a larger impact on their communities. Welcome back.
Hi, that was such a long intro. It's so funny when I hear that. I'm just like, oh, so much stuff about me. I don't know what to do.
So many things. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And, I was just thinking that was our first podcast with you, but I think we had an up close and personal with you. And you were outside on your patio. So that was the last time we actually saw you. But
oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that one. I'm only thinking about the one where I was hiding in my closet.
Me too. So we'll add both of those to the show notes. And before we dive into today's topic, we hope that you joined us last week as we had one of our coaches, Susan Block, and our guests talk about their success story about where they are now with coaching and just in private practice in general. So grab that. Those are always fan favorites. They're a source of inspiration because they're colleagues just like you doing great things out in the world. So let's take a quick moment for our sponsor, then we will dive right in.
Directories can be a good source for new clients, but which directories are really worth it? Well, according to an extensive review of therapist directories by Very Well Mind, more than 90% of therapists recommend Mental Health Match. We love Mental Health Match because they understand that the therapeutic relationship starts even before the client contacts you. They've set up their directory to give clients a sense of confidence in you as a clinician and connection with you as a person. Their smart matching technology makes sure you only hear from clients who are a good fit for your practice. And referrals come with insightful information about the client, their presenting problems, and what they seek in a therapist. With over 10,000 clients coming every week, Mental Health Match is a great way to find the clients you want. Erin Moore, a New Jersey therapist, said, "I've been getting almost 2 referrals a week from Mental Health Match, and I like their ability to match me with my niche clients. These clients reflect my skill sets, and they come ready and open to the therapeutic process. This is energizing for both the therapist and clients. We could not agree more. And now you can try Mental Health Match for free for 90 days. Just go to mentalhealthmatch.com and use referral code STARTUP. That's mentalhealthmatch.com and referral code STARTUP.
So welcome back officially.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back.
Yeah. So I know that, Kate and I were chatting about you. We're like, oh, we really should have Maureen back on the podcast. Then we had seen your email newsletter about the shift that you had to make in leadership, that you took, a month off because you were burnt out and you came back still feeling burnt out. So just kind of tell us where you are with your business and a little bit about that.
It's been a few years where I just was feeling burnt. It was in the summer, what was it, like 2019 maybe? And I just had gotten to this place, I think, and as you guys would probably understand, having multiple businesses, having a practice, leading a team of people, and then doing coaching and all of this other stuff, I got to this place that nothing felt good. Like I just didn't enjoy what I was doing. And so we decided to take a month off and went to Costa Rica, and I didn't work at all. And I came back. I had such a great time, and I felt really relaxed and like not worried about work. Everything was fine, and came back and it didn't feel better. Went back into work and just was like, how can I still feel burnt out? I've had a month of real time off. I mean, not looking at emails, not doing anything. And realized that a big part of it was just related to like how I was showing up in my group practice, the role I was playing, the role that I really wanted to be playing in my practice, and figuring out a way to sort of get to that place.
And this was pre-pandemic, because you said 2019. So before the world, everything hit the fan, you're, going through your own personal crisis of trying to figure everything out. Tell us a little bit about your role in the group practice and your businesses before that was really contributing to the burnout and just sucking so much from you.
Yeah. So I have for years had a leadership team. So my group practice is, 2012. So where are we at now? Is it 10 or 11 or 12 years old now? 2012. So it'll be 11 years old this year, or turned 11 this year. And so for the past maybe 5 or 6 years, I've had a leadership team because I've known I'm an introvert. I also have the group practice exchange, another business. I just knew from the beginning that as my practice was growing that I couldn't be doing everything. So I was really good at delegating, and had read all the books on delegation and all this stuff, and felt really good having a leadership team who, was in charge of the clinical aspect, the administrative aspect, all of the areas where my goal was to be more in a visionary space. That's just my area of strength, is coming up with the ideas. If anyone listening has ever done the Colby Index, I'm a quick start. So I tend to be the person who comes up with ideas. I don't have to do a lot of research. I'm more of let's just jump in and we'll figure it out as we go. Which also means that I'm really good with when things are not working, being like, well, we tried it. And I don't feel anxiety or shame or guilt with rerouting or changing direction. But what was so that's kind of my area of strength, is like coming up with a vision, making sure that we're implementing new things in the business that, propel the business forward as economy changes and all that stuff. But what I was finding was that even though I had leaders in place who were supposed to lead in certain areas, that things kept coming back to me. And so I still felt like my hand was in all of the pots in a little degree. So so my burnout wasn't related towards amount of time. It really was that I was spending in the business. It was really related to like the pressure, the idea that I'm always having to be on, the idea that like nobody is fully owning what they're doing. And that like, if shit hits the fan in any direction, that the person that's leading it wasn't actually going to be able to lead it, that it would come back to me. And so there's always this like waiting for the shoe to fall. It was more tense and pressure just within me, more than related to like working, 40, 50 hours a week. So that was how it was before.
Gotcha. So on one hand, when you took the month off, did you think it was just, I'm spending too much time in the business?
I just thought, well, with the group practice exchange, I wanted that, is a little bit different because I'm the one that does the work. I have a team of people who do like the administrative things and sales and marketing and all that, but I'm the one that produces the content. So I wanted to take time off from that. But with the group practice, my team is really good with, or they, at that time were really good with, I had said, I really just need time off. I knew, they led in a way where the business isn't going to fall apart in a month. I had, worked through all of that, but it definitely needed me to like actually make it move forward. And if anything went wrong, they would come to me to be like, oh, this thing isn't working. And I was like, I, as a leader, want you to actually be able to like emotionally regulate that and not have to, because I don't want to just only be there for all the crappy things either. And so they were really good at knowing I really wanted this time off. I had communicated that, and I knew that they would just give me that space for that month. And so that was really what it was more about, was thinking if I got this mental space, I would come back maybe feeling rejuvenized or energized. And it just didn't work that way. And that's because the problem wasn't fixed,
Yep. And
Right.
when you came back and you realized, okay, the burnout is still here, there's still a big problem here. Tell us about how you began to change things.
So I was trying to figure out what is the issue, because I feel like I have a lot of supports. I did have a lot of people in leadership roles that were supporting me. And what I figured out was that they didn't have any accountabilities. Like, they had a job description, they had tasks, they did their tasks, but if something didn't work, they would turn to me and be like, what could we be doing differently? Or I would be the one that was recognizing that they were continuing to fulfill like their duties, but if it wasn't working, I would have to be like, hey, it looks like, things are pretty stagnant in the intake department, or things are, there's turnover with clinicians, and there's someone clinically in charge, and we have an onboarding person in charge of ensuring that people stay for a certain period of time. And so it was on me to be looking at all of the data and metrics, and then going to each person being like, what are we doing with this? And so it felt like I was doing a lot more hand-holding, and the accountability really came back on me versus the people who actually led those departments. And so I just started reading all of these like accountability related books, and ended up just feeling like there's a lot from different accountability measures and accountability books that are out there. There's a ton out there that like each one was missing little pieces that I was finding as I was trying to, implement this in my business, that there were things missing. And so I ended up coming up with my own, called the accountability equation, that I feel like pulls together some concepts from other leaders out there in accountability, but then brings in pieces that are just missing from all of those other accountability measures. And it's been working really great. So obviously now here, years later, it took a lot of work to like get everyone on board, to, help people understand what it means to actually be accountable and things like that. And so this past probably just about 2 years now, we've been in this space where I don't feel burnt out. And I actually get excited to go into work, because I'm like, you guys are creating amazing things, and you don't need me to okay it and approve it. Everyone knows not only their roles, but also like what they can like truly lead on and like own and be like the crafter or the creator of their leadership role. And so they roll out things that are so cool. And I come into the business, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This looks great. And they're like, yeah, we, spent all of these hours collaborating and building this program or this new way of intaking. And I get to just watch it. And that's where I like to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick moment for our sponsor. As a private practice owner, there are dozens of things to worry about. If you decide to accept insurance billing does not have to be a worry. Practice Solutions is a remote billing company who connects providers with billers in the U.S. who specialize in mental health billing. Their expertise has helped clinicians increase and maintain steady revenue by submitting and following up on claims regularly, resolving old aging claims, and performing eligibility and benefit checks. With Practice Solutions, you're assigned a billing expert who learns the ins and outs of your practice, functioning as an extension of your own team. So you can focus on what matters most, your clients and growing your practice. One of Practice Solutions' current clients says, Practice Solutions has been amazing for my practice, its growth, and my peace of mind when it comes to billing. Practice Solutions works with clients ranging from solo practitioners just starting out, as well as to larger group practices with multiple clinicians. Practice Solutions offers a free billing consultation to determine if their services are a good fit for you and your practice. Visit practicesoul.com/startupnation and schedule an appointment. Again, that's a free consultation at practicesoul.com/startupnation. As a therapist, I can tell you from experience that having the right EHR is an absolute lifeline. I recommend using Therapy Notes. They make billing, scheduling, note-taking, telehealth, and e-prescribing incredibly easy. Best of all, they offer live telephone support that's available 7 days a week. Look, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Therapy Notes is the #1 highest rated EHR available today with 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot and Google. Go to therapynotes.com and enter code PPS as in Private Practice Startup and receive a special 2-month trial, absolutely free. And hey, if you're coming from another EHR, no worries. Therapy Notes will import your demographic data quick and easy at no cost to you so you can get started right away. Trust me, don't waste any more of your time. Go to therapynotes.com and enter code PPS for your 2-month free trial. I love listening to, how this kind of unfolded for you. And, one of the questions that comes to my mind, well, I have many thoughts and question. It's just cool, right? I remember in my very young years of leadership and being a micromanager initially, and then learning how to trust my staff and really creating, especially in community mental health, is that you have to create something else for your staff because being in and out of homes and working late and low pay, it's not enough to keep people excited. I do remember one of my staff, I think he was there for like a month. And he had asked me a question. I was like, whatever you think. And then I walked out and, he turned to his friend, and colleague, and he's like, wow, she really trusts me. Right. And it's like really, and the beauty is, and I love what you're talking about, Maureen, because it's like, if you're always the creator or the visionary or the one to say this isn't working or that isn't working, is that we don't elevate people to their own creation and create things that we would never have thought of. So I love that there's this group think going on in your group practice. So tell us a little bit about how, and maybe some of the struggles about how did you have to kind of position this? What were some of your team's difficulties? So talk a little bit about that.
So one of the things that I found to be most difficult, and it's a common thread for business owners who start to implement any sort of accountability system or measure, whether it's something like accountability equation or other ones out there. There's things like traction and all of that out there. And the common thread, and I experience this, and I feel like most people do, especially if they're starting to really put accountabilities out there with their leadership team, and the team is already established and has been kind of running the way they have been before setting this up. I think it's much easier if you start a business and you just have like the know to set this up from the beginning. Obviously much easier, but most of us come in starting our businesses and then having to make adjustments. And so the hardest thing for people is change. And just one of the biggest struggles for employees is change, a fear of change, fear of not being a part of decision-making with the change, a fear, workplace trauma, fear that the change is really not in their best interest and that there's something, behind the scenes or sneaky that is really going to be, hurt them or not be in their best interest. And so that's I think the biggest struggle with going from not truly holding people accountable, which I thought I was, and I could talk a little bit about the difference, to really holding your leadership team and clinicians and admin staff as a whole accountable. And so that was my biggest struggle, is once we started going into it, I talked about why, what accountability was and why we weren't actually accountable. And what I noticed was, and I'm going to tie the Kolbe in again, only because it gave me such insight, is as leaders, our leadership team all took the Kolbe, and 2 of us were quick starts. I have like 8 people on my leadership team, or 9. And the rest were, I'm forgetting the term, but it's essentially like researchers. Like, they research to death a thing before they move. So you can imagine like a leadership team where most of them want to just really talk about it over and over exhaustively and not ever make a move, because they want to perfect their thought process about it before deciding. And then having the leader and my integrator, my second in command sort of, is also a quick start, like literally being like, we've come up with 15 different I've moved on. This needs to have been done. So the struggle was in this space of me being like, accountability means that there are going to be measures that show whether you're doing what you're supposed to. It's not a checklist of like, yes, I checked in with the clinicians as a clinical director. Yes, my clinicians have said they feel like I'm supporting them. Like, that's not enough. We have measurements of like, what does that mean? What percentage of staff are going to rate the clinical director as providing them with clinical support or growth opportunities? We have, very specific quarterly and yearly measures that you can very easily see if they're truly leading. And so what we found was, when we started creating those, co-creating everyone's accountability measures, that when they saw that that the way they had been working wouldn't be conducive to them actually meeting those accountability measures, there was resistance. And it really, at the end of the day, came down to a fear. Like, they realized that being a manager versus a leader is 2 different things. And they were acting more like managers, managing what Maureen says, and letting everyone else know this is what Maureen wants, to, really leading and saying like, I make the decisions within this department. And like, anything that is expected, they're the ones that are really in charge of that. And so it was hard for some leaders who maybe weren't a fit. And so that's one of the kind of areas in my, what I call the 5 A's in my accountability equation, is, making sure, assessing that the right people are actually in the right roles.
Thank you so much for being on today, Maureen. This has been an awesome episode, and we're actually splitting this into a part 1 and a part 2 series, because Maureen gave such a wealth of information, and it's actually over 40 minutes long, which we felt was going to be a really long episode for you guys to have in one solid episode. So this will be part 1 and part 2. We want to invite you all to join us again next week as we dive into the 5 tips for how to effectively lead, delegate, and create accountability in your group practice, part 2. And Startup Nation, we hope you enjoyed this episode with Maureen, hearing more about her story. We want to encourage you all to subscribe, rate, and review the show. We always love hearing your feedback and making sure that we're creating our podcast episodes to meet your needs along the startup practice, startup, and growing experience along the journey. So we'll see you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay inspired. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.